Derek rounded the couch and came toward her, each step purposeful. Already panting with need, Ginger let him walk her backward until her body made contact with the hard wall of the living room. His masculine scent, mixed with a hint of leather and coffee, caused her body to ready, recognizing its mate. She welcomed the warm, damp sensation between her thighs, knowing her readiness would please him. Derek braced his hands above her on the wall, but didn't make contact with her body. She wanted to sob a protest and pull him closer, but knew better than to push. Much as it pained her keeping quiet, patience always paid off with Derek. He let his head drop down so he could speak very precisely near her ear. Take my cock out. This time she couldn't contain a whimper of anticipation. With shaky hands, Ginger quickly undid his belt buckle, movements slightly clumsy under his watchful gaze. His button and zipper came next. She could feel his weighty erection pressing against his boxer briefs. Unable to help herself, she took a moment to squeeze him, run her thumb up the sensitive underside. I didn't give you permission for that. His eyes were closed, a telling sign that despite his harsh words, her touch certainly affected him. Then they snapped open, harder than before. Reach inside, wrap me in your hand, and take me the fuck out.
Yes, Derek, she breathed, slipping her hand under the waistband. Ready, take two. Yes, Derek, she breathed, slipping her hand under the waistband of his briefs, since you asked so nicely. She tugged his underwear down his hips with the other. Before she could make contact with his thick arousal... Nope. Yes, Derek, she breathed, slipping her hand under the waistband of his briefs, since you asked so nicely. She tugged his underwear down his hips with the other hand. Before she could make contact with his thick arousal, Derek snagged her wrist, brought it to his mouth, and licked her palm, provocative and slow, then released her. They both groaned into the silent apartment when she fisted his erection with her newly dampened hand. Whatever game he was playing, Ginger was a willing participant. The young woman she'd been when they first met would have taken offense to being ordered around. This Ginger, she gloried in the part of her man that craved control. After all, at that moment, she held the concentration of that power right in her hand. Without her, his power didn't exist. His hips began thrusting rhythmically, pushing his length into her grip. Would you like to hear what happens next? She inhaled in a rush. Yes, please. The devil is in the details. I guess that makes me the devil. One big calloused hand dropped to the outside of her thigh, coasting up her flesh just close enough to raise goosebumps on every inch of her body, slipping underneath her skirt without hesitation. When he reached her backside, Ginger wanted to beg shamelessly for his palm to roughly knead her there. Instead, he merely brushed his fingers down the center of her bottom along the cherry red material of her thong. The simple touch had a devastating effect, every nerve ending singing with terrible, glorious need. I'm going to take some much-needed time with your mouth right now. While I do, you're going to continue stroking me until I'm so close to coming I'll be ready to die just to drill you against this wall. But I won't. I'm going to stop you just before I bust. And then I'm going to lick. Lick is one of our words. So I have to drink more, which is not going to be a good situation. That's great. I'll be able to read. It's good. Then I'm going to lick that. That's going to be a hard one. That's the word I've been dreading. Muscle through it, sister. You can do it. Just a word. I write this word all the time and I can't say it. Then I'm going to lick. Okay, it's good. Then I'm going to lick. Nope, not that time. Then I'm going to lick that sweet pussy that's been waiting so patiently for me. He surged into her hand. Come on, baby. Make me suffer.
Ginger's knees wobbled, lust pounding so insistently in her belly she could climax from his words alone if he continued to speak. No, Derek would give her relief. Only Derek. She could feel it hovering already. Only if she followed his sensual instructions, though. Hell, she was eager to follow them. They'd been designed for her alone. Lifting her eyes to his, she massaged the crown of his erection with her thumb, reveling in his shortened breathing. When her fingers tightened and dipped to the base, rising in a firm, tight stroke, Derek's mouth swooped down with a growl to kiss her greedily. The kiss was far from gentle. It was raw, base agony translated through hot, slippery warmth, the sting of teeth, the smooth glides with their tongues. It consumed Ginger, scorching her where she stood. Unconsciously, her hand increased its pace to match the frenzied tempo of his kiss. They broke apart, gasping for precious air at each other's lips. Her breath caught at the fierceness of his expression, but her hand didn't slow its ministrations. Subtly, she twisted her wrist with each stroke, applied more pressure. Above her head, his fist punched the wall. Just a little more. I'm almost there. Make it fucking hurt for me, beautiful girl. Let yourself go. Let me make you come, Derek, please. Her plea escaped her without a thought. She didn't like seeing him in pain. Couldn't think past making it go away. He'd been away from her for far too long. Knowing him, he would refuse to lessen the urgent ache of on his own. No, his jaw flexed. The firm hand rested on her bare-bottomed, squeezed flesh, then slapped it, leaving a fresh sting in its wake. You do what I tell you, Ginger, or no tongue between your legs.
Tessa. Oh God, she needed his mouth so badly. Her stomach muscles clenched tightly, moisture coating her core, just imagining his dark head dipping between her thighs. She needed this torture to end now. Derek might refuse to take his release, but she wasn't nearly that proud. If she didn't find satisfaction soon, she might expire from the blistering need. Yes, Lieutenant, I only do as you tell me, she whispered, knowing it would send him higher. God damn it, he ripped her hand free. You're lucky I'm dying for a fucking taste, or I would spank your ass raw for that. Lucky me, she whispered, shivering with anticipation. With a sound of blatant hunger, Derek dropped to his knees before her. He curled his hands beneath her knees and draped them over his broad shoulders, effortlessly supporting Ginger's weight with his hands. Her panties were torn free by his teeth, hands, with her head lolling against the wall, eyes squeezed tightly shut, dying for that first lick. She couldn't have cared less about his methods. He pressed his mouth to her core. She felt the vibration of his moan as he nuzzled her, his stubble scraping the sensitive flesh of her inner thighs. Letting her weight rest on his shoulders, his hands were free to grasp her bottom, tilt her hips towards his mouth. Soaked and slick, baby, just how I like you. Oh, please, give it to me. Too many sensations. Her nerve endings sizzled and snapped. The apartment blurred and tilted around them. Derek, I can't. She heard his dark laughter, then ceased to think altogether.